This is a little job I've got to do. The owner wants a larger deck. I'm going to remove this deck here and we're going to put one in 6.4 metres by 4 metres, just as a larger deck. Nothing wrong with the old one, but he wants a new one. So, and these boards, they've got gaps in and he doesn't want gaps, and also they're flat boards and only 20 millimetres, and he wants something more substantial and permanent so he doesn't have to do it again. And then round here there's the old box for the pump, and he wants a new box and he wants it turned here. So the job consists of removing the old deck, putting in some concrete posts, foundations, rocks, and then building a new deck. Just another stunning location. There we go. That's the old deck cleared out the way. Now we'll measure out for the new deck and put in some concrete posts and move some rocks around as required. So what I've decided to do is rough out the deck plan before I put the concrete pillars in. I want to put as few pillars in as possible, but with the maximum amount of use. So I'm kind of framing out the underside of the deck area, and then that will tell me exactly where I need to put in the supports for the deck. There we go, end of day one. Concrete posts there. Let that concrete go off, come back in the morning. We're into about 12 hours now, so I've had enough. So that's the end of day one. Right then, next morning, concrete's gone off. Get the rest of these in, and get the rest of the concrete pads go through. It's not looking quite so nice today, we've got rain forecast. We've got a bit of jiggery pokery to do up there by that rock, but otherwise we're going to lie all these in, get them fixed off, get the remainder of the concrete finished, or the pillars, and then we can start top decking. There we go. Okay, that's the deck frame down, squared, all the concrete supports put in. It's got a bit of treating to do along there underneath the cabin, and it's ready for top deck. Six metre by 4 metre. There we are, ready to go. But believe it or not, that is the end of day two. Now, I've put down decks twice the size of this, including the base, in 2 days. Anyhow, it is what it is, it's taking its time. One of the things that's taking longer than it should, when I priced the job, I priced for straightforward screws through the top of the deck. Customer changed his mind. Now, I don't mind that, customer's got to pay for it, there's extras. But this has got no screws in it. None. It has, they're all underneath. It's all screwed from underneath. And that takes time. So knowing how long it's taken to put these 12 boards on, I'm not even convinced after another 7 or 8 hours I can get that on. But anyway, that's what he wants. He don't want any screws. So It is taking a while, I've got to say, isn't it, son? Eh? Taking a while. So, that's the end of day 2. It's going to be nice when it's done, but yeah, it's quite slow. It's going to get easier for me now the depth is increasing. The difficulty here has definitely been screwing up here because it's been quite shallow. So I've screwed 3 decks now in the last few years from underneath. Not like this. This is a different shape, but yeah, and they've all been right up in the air. This is the lowest, but as it gets down here, it'll get easier to screw from underneath. So I haven't been doing any filming today because I've had some help and they don't want to appear on camera. So there we are. That's the end of day 2. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get that finished, but we'll see. We're back on this job this morning. We weren't here yesterday, several reasons, but yesterday wasn't a bad day. Caught a monster pike, and then in the afternoon, evening, we went out line fishing and had our record day. So yesterday was a good day for fishing, so I'm kind of under orders not to be here all day because chances are, with the clarity of the water and the rain we've had, fishing's going to be equally as good today. So we're probably going to work till mid-afternoon, and I'm going to put this on to time-lapse so that you can see what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, but without all the boring bits. Now, I think I should probably explain at this point, otherwise it's get confusing. So you've seen me lay down that deck without any gaps, screwing from underneath. Everything that I know is wrong in its location and the type of deck that was there. And I tried to explain this. I tried to explain this to the customer, and he just wanted what he wanted, and that was it. Anyway, so it got to a point where the timber isn't great. It just isn't. The quality is awful, and the way it was going down was bad, and there's nowhere for the water to drain because there was no gaps. And I had to have one of those frank conversations and explain that everything about this deck was wrong, and I just wasn't going to put my name to it. Just wasn't happy with it. It just wasn't how it was supposed to be. And then there was all these additional extra things that he'd wanted, that quite when I was going to get told about these. So the deck in its current form wasn't going to work anyway. Anyway, so ultimately, after the frank conversation, it was going to come up. And it was all going to get done the way that I wanted to do it, the correct way. It was going to get screwed through the top, which has so many advantages. It was going to have gaps in it, and then he wanted all this additional work, which couldn't have been done with the deck on anyway. There's no way you can put balustrade in round, handrails on top, all this kind of stuff, and screw it down to a finished deck. So the decision was made to rip up the deck. I haven't filmed any of this because everything that you saw me do over 2 days, I had to undo in 2 days. Without destroying any of the boards, without creating any damage, because there was nothing left in the budget. I'd already priced the timber. There was nothing left in the budget to be able to go and rebuy. So I had a bad 2 days. And then the rains came. And I decided I wasn't going to do anything more on that. And all the white stuff you see, I'd already machined up. And Sarah spent three and a half hours a day over 3 days, coating everything in 3 coats, and we were doing firewood at the same time. So this next clip that you're going to see is of me arriving, having removed the deck I put down with all the extras on board ready to go on, and then relay the deck the way it should be laid, the way I want to lay it. Just to clarify that, because otherwise it won't make any sense. Anyway, so that's where we are, and here we go, back to the action. Hello and welcome. Casper's brought his own ball this morning. And as such, he's a very happy puppy. So we're back on this deck job. We've had to take a week off to paint the house. And I'm pretty sure I showed you the white stuff that we were spraying up. Well, I've got that here. We're just going to have a quick walk around, and then I'm going to set you up probably on time lapse today, because there's a lot of fiddly stuff and stuff I've got to do, but I want to do a bit of an explanation as to what we're doing. And we have a little puppy here going mad for the ball. Can't see what I can see. Oh, there you go, dog. Right, let's turn you around and go and show you about. I think you missed a little bit because the old charging battery business, and I would normally stop, have a bit of lunch, charge the battery, but there is no stopping today. So while the battery was charging, Alright, so not quite sure what you didn't see, but the perimeter board is in and cut but not mited on the edge. I've cut it around the posts and the other one, and then the first few boards are screwed in a straight line. Oh, steady, to make sure that my line of sight between the two posts is correct. And then I'll travel this way first, and then I'll travel from here and I'll travel back that way. And that way, however it ends up nice and square there, with the long boards here then mitered and the last board in, and wherever we end up against the house then we can scarf, because naturally that's not square or even close to being square. So the deck area is by and large square to the face at the corners, but of course anyway. So that's where we are. So we've got our screws ready for our string lines. So we've got a screw in this end and a screw up the other end, and then we put our string lines through and we'll screw all these down, and then we'll move on, making sure our last board here is square and true to that one. And we're working with the smallest of the gaps, which is the 5mm gap. So it's not wanting to teach anybody suck eggs. Gaps on decking come in two sizes. They come in that size, which is 10mm, or they come in that size, which is 5mm. Right, those are two gap sizes. I don't like that. I think it's too big. I do like that. And the gap's of course not done there because we're not screwed in this side, but anyway, there we go. And then I'm not sure whether you see that I coloured the top of the treated timber. This is all pressure treated, so we don't need to colour this, but I've coloured the tops so that when you look down between the boards, and you can't help it because there's gaps there, you don't see the lighter greener colour of the tannalised timber, you see the dark. So it's a bit of extra treatment, don't hurt, but it's really also to keep it dark in colour so that when you look down you don't see the lightness of, or the greenness of the tannalised boards. Right, I'll stick you back up on the stand and then we can carry on. Oh, it's the end of day one. Well, it's not day one, it's the end of the day. The boards are not all screwed down. They're screwed down where they need to be screwed down. Whilst I'm laying. Two more boards to run in there. And we've got to do the rails on these side panels and the top. We won't do the top tomorrow, but we do the rails tomorrow. We get the rest of these boards on, we get them all screwed down. Then we've got to face off the side there and the front. Can close that into something, but you can see how it's going to come. I'd like to spend more time here and do more, but people, I can't. I just can't do the hours that I used to do. Just can't do it. As much as I try, and as much as my mind says, work till 10 o'clock tonight, I can't do it anymore. So that's it, that'll do for today. But look at that view. And that's not a river, that's a lake. Look at that. Amazing. Henderson. He's happy. Right, we'll be back here in the morning. All this fuss is because I've opened the door. And he can't contain himself. He just can't. The absolute excitement that I'm going to let him out and he's going to tear around is uncontrollable. And it's because this door is open. He does this, but usually several minutes before we arrive where we're going. And I won't let him. But he would just run that way and he'll just track where the van's been. And all this, and it'll go on and on and on, it won't stop. Look at that view. Wow. It's just going to be another hard day at work today, isn't it? All this fuss, this is what it's all about. It's all about the ball. Away. Well, that's not gone well. So, out of all the things I've done in the last few weeks, nothing's hurt my back like bending over in that position, screwing those screws in. That's a bad day, that is. So I haven't really had, whilst I've had a few warning pains since my operation, that's bad. That's really bad. So I'm in two minds now what to do. The most intelligent part of me is telling me not to even pack up and lie down. Give it a few days, see how it feels. That's what it's telling me. Anyhow, I can't do that. So I want to lie on that deck there and see if there's any improvement or change. Yeah, that's bad. It's not the lifting, it's that position there, screwing. And don't get me wrong, I like screwing, but obviously my back. Anyhow, I'm going to put this on charge and I'm going to rest this back. Give it half an hour and see what it feels like. If it don't feel right after half an hour, give it another half an hour. If it ain't right after an hour, that's day over. So yeah, I'll have a rest. I'll come back to you. Did I rest my back? Not really. No. And then when I did try and rest my back, my phone was just ringing. And it's just, it was back-to-back people talking. It was back-to-back people talking nonsense. Not even with a real, I don't even know what they wanted. I know one of them, you know, a dear friend of mine. He's suffering. Yeah, I thought since I saw my dad go through it and I was quite young, I suppose, teens, I could handle it, but the same conversation every day, over and over and over again. I go and see him to try and get him to remember the conversation that we've had. Makes no difference. The phone still rings. And I'm not sure whether he forgets or... Anyway. So, my back. Yep. That's really uncomfortable, but I've got to keep going. So, I'll turn you around in a minute. I've put the top rails on these white panels here, done a bit of trimming along the bottom, done some trimming around the edge. I've got to do the face now. Once I've done the face, I can't go back to that position of screwing the deck down. I just can't. I can't. Anyway, so we're going to put this face on this side and just return it on the corner. Battery's about to go flat again. A couple of things I wanted to show you. This. Yep, that's real. Look how big it is. It's huge. Anyway, that's the key to that. So that's that job. It's done. That's what I was asked to do. There's the box over there. That's for the water pump. And the idea of this, well, that's for the kitchen. There's a mobile kitchen that kind of comes out here, and we'll sit there. But that's that. That's a 6 metre by 4 metre deck. So it consumed 1,300 screws. Well, probably 1,500 screws because of the bottom deck. Should have taken 2 days. Took 6. Well, and that's just not, anyway, there's a story behind that. Anyway, there it is. That's a nice job. Yeah. I could have done without all that bending over on my back business. And in preparation, oddly enough, in preparation for that, I'd actually packed up before I put those screws in that deck, which was probably quite prudent. Okay, let's pull that. There we go. That's a finished job. That's a nut job. And that's a finished job. 6 metre by 4 metre deck. 1,500 screws. 1,500 screws. All by hand. Nice bit of trim along there. Finished it all off nicely in white. That's us done. I think probably a day or two on my back won't go amiss. That's been quite a struggle to get that done. Anyway, there we are. Look at that view. So that's the end of that one. Thanks for watching. Join you on the next one.